So, it's been a while since I've done another Dossier video, and after the scramble I did to make sure I had my Halloween content finished on time, I figured I'd wind down with something a bit more familiar. We're going back to the world of Payday to get to know our characters a little bit more. This won't be a super detailed explanation of them or anything, it'll be more like the summaries I did in my Killer 7 video, and I'll only be doing the original crew members. If I feel like it, maybe I'll do a video on the other members in the future. For a while I wasn't even really sure about making this one, but I've already started down this path and I don't like leaving a project incomplete, so let's get to it. This is the dossier of the infamous Payday gang. Bane is the enigmatic leader of the Payday gang itself. The guy always talking in the clown's ears about the thermal drill and the like. Most information on Bane, all the way down to his name, is considered flimsy at best. Nobody knows if Bane is his real name or an alias, although given his profession it's very likely fake, and pretty much nobody knows any personal details about him either. This is all very much done on purpose, as Bane is arguably the most important member of the gang, as he's the ringleader of CrimeNet itself, the criminal network that Bane uses to get the gang their jobs, contacts, guns, and pretty much everything else. Bane's information cage is seemingly airtight too, as others have noted that you will only contact Bane if Bane wants to have his presence known. Otherwise, he will simply stay as a mysterious figure spoken about in back alley deals. According to some of his quips, Bane might have been a heister at some point, making comments about what he was like back in his day, but clearly those days are behind him. He's a handler now for the real stars. The first of these stars is, of course, the American clown himself, Dallas. Dallas is one of the crew members we have some more detailed info on. Dallas's name, alias or not, is Nathan Steele. Before becoming the de facto leader of the Payday gang, Steele worked for a Chicago mafia group, starting out with simple jobs like being a bouncer until he proved himself skilled enough to become a professional hitman. After executing a plan to pit two mafias against each other, a hit was put out on him that he thankfully managed to escape, possibly by changing his identity into the Nathan Steele we know now. After a small impersonal war against underground drug rings, Steele had a bit of a midlife crisis, stole some weapons, and proceeded to seek out a proper crew, where he would eventually meet Bane and form the Payday gang. The second of the original Payday crew is Chains, a military veteran wearing a more traditional-looking clown mask as opposed to Dallas's explicitly American style. Chains was a thrill chaser, always seeking more and more dangerous prospects to see how far he could go before meeting something even he couldn't stand against. And to this end, he initially joined the US military and became a Navy SEAL, but his thrill-chasing behavior would soon get him booted, not even they could tolerate him. As such, he joined more like-minded people in the form of mercenaries, where he would eventually be found by Bane and brought into the Payday gang during its first formation. Chains also happens to be friends with John Wick, which he met during his military service. And thankfully that friendship came to save him later when he got found by Swedish police. The third member of the gang is known as Oxton. Not Houston, Oxton. Oxton is another member we actually have some more detailed info on. Under the burned mask is James Hawksworth, a British man known for both his cynicism as well as the wealth he was born into. He even has a personal butler that now attends to the gang's safe house. Oxton wasn't always like this, however. During the gang's first formation, he was much more of a quippy one-liner type of guy. But during the time between Payday 1 and 2, the gang was set up and Oxton was captured by the FBI, where he would be imprisoned during the beginning of Payday 2. As such, the name and mask of Oxton was temporarily taken up by Dallas's younger brother as a way of maintaining the gang's image and to keep with Bane's obsession over the number 4. Once Hawksworth was broken out of prison, however, he took on an altered version of the original Hoxton persona, and Dallas's brother would keep the original mask but now go by Houston. And finally, for the original crew, we have Wolf. In some ways, Wolf can be considered the most abnormal or twisted of the Payday gang, which could potentially be due to his relatively normal beginnings. Wolf's real name and or alias beyond the crew is unknown, but Wolf himself doesn't seem to care. He started out as a fairly normal Swedish man. He ran a startup software development company while raising a family, and things were pretty good up until the global recession. The recession sent his company into a downward spiral until it and Wolf ran out of money, leaving the company defunct and Wolf and his family homeless. All of this seemed to cause something to snap in Wolf as he began to act out rather violent crimes that were notably reminiscent of scenes from well-known action movies. Maybe he learned a thing or two from Wick, who knows. This crime spree and Wolf's overall psychopathic behavior caught the attention of Bane, who had roped Wolf into the crew as his fourth member and the final member needed to begin acting on the jobs Bane gave them. And those are the original 4 members of the gang, and Houston. Honestly, this was a bit more enjoyable to make than I thought it would be, although that's probably because I ditched the idea of doing every single member in a single video, as that would take far longer to even get a script written for, let alone editing everything together. Still, if enough of you seem to enjoy this video, then I'll probably add videos for the other members to my list of video ideas. Either way, this has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. And last but not least, a special thank you shout out to my Patreon with a $5 a month pledge is Punch McLarge Huge. Thank you for the $5.